Hello everyone, my name is Enrique Cardona and welcome to another review. In this case, I'm going to review WrestleMania 41, Nights 1 and 2. Now, this is obviously different from my reviews. When I review a movie or TV show, I like to start with the plot or with the characters. But in this case, because like I said before, this has characters but not exactly one just plot line. It has several, and that could complicate things. So what I'm going to do is just talk about the individual matches, how the stories progress, and how it all ended up in at WrestleMania. And I'm also going to split the videos in two because this is honestly a very long and arduous review and it's a long pay-per-view that I have to see. First of all, let me just say this. Watching WrestleMania 41 from Netflix, it's been great because I can not only watch the original pay-per-views from WWE on the back of my hand, but also just reviewing the ones live has been a blessing because I've been seeing everything unfolding. And while I don't do reactions, I like to see the pay-per-views and the shows as it flows. It's better than just going on the internet and find a source that allows you to. But regardless, we are going to talk about what happened in this year's WrestleMania. Now, one thing that I want to make clear, especially when it comes to the comments, is that my thoughts on how I think of the show. So I'm gonna give it to you right now before I before I get any misconceptions. Basically, it's like that. But yeah, I feel like this WrestleMania's pay-per-view show was very weak. And I don't mean it's the worst. I've seen worse like WrestleMania 32. No, I'm talking about this was the weakest in terms of build up and sometimes in delivery, but at the very least the delivery stick the landing and we got to see fun matches. But the build up could have been a lot better, and that's something that a lot of people have expressed their disappointments towards this WrestleMania because they treat it as any other pay-per-view from almost every other pay-per-view that they have over the years. But in this year's WrestleMania, I felt a little bit more different. Almost like they don't build their matches to be explosive confrontations that everybody was hoping to be amazed or awe about. But regardless of that, we still have to review a pay-per-view and we need to talk about the matches that happened, how everything unfolded, and how everything is going to be turned in the next century or the next years and months. So without further ado, let's talk about the first matches of today. So first of all, let's start with Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was the first match. It was at the opening, and it was basically the story of Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble and Gunther being the very undefeated and very strong World Heavyweight Champion. He won it last year at SummerSlam against Damian Priest, and ever since then he has held the title for a few months. And I actually thought that with Gunther being the world champion, that they were going to, make him like undefeatable until someone strong, or basically like that. They turn Gunther's reign into the Roman Reigns reign, hold it almost forever, building history for this championship and for the opponent who held it, make history like that. Not exactly that long, but at the very least, make it long enough for us to remember who held it the most. But yeah, the story was basically this. Gunther doesn't believe that Jey Uso is his greatest opponent. In fact, he beat him at Saturday Night's main event this year, and he thought that was it, that was the only time that he will ever wrestle Jey Uso. But after he won the Royal Rumble match, Jey has been becoming more popular and popular. Gunther warned him not to challenge him at WrestleMania for the world title, otherwise he's going to make his life a living hell. So Jay, realizing the potential, and after an attack from Gunther, he basically decides to challenge him for the world title. And the build-up consisted of basically Gunther attacking Jay, Jay trying his best to attack Gunther, basically trying to make each other mad and upset. And Gunther showing no signs of fear or remorse or anything like that that will show weakness towards Jey Uso. He believes he is beneath them. It all culminated with Jimmy being choked out by Gunther and make him bleed as well. That's pretty intense, but it was the motivation necessary for Jay to go after Gunther. And that's what happened in this match. But I will say this, the match itself, while it was great, I don't think there's nothing to write home about. All I say is that Jay looked great. Gunther looked massive as a heel, especially with his moves. But in the end, it was nothing that very special. I would say, oh, this match blew me away with big moves and all that. No, it was average at best. Or at the very least, it was good enough for me in terms of the match and the psychology. But I wish they were doing something more, more memorable moments, a high spot, maybe something crazy that Gunther does, maybe something that Jay never thought he would do that was unexpected. But maybe that's just thinking very highly. Or hell, maybe a pinfall that Gunther had but he couldn't break. But speaking of which, Jey Uso really looked good in this match. And in all honesty, the fact that he beat Gunther with his own submissive maneuver, that was wild for me to see. But definitely something that I appreciate. And it shows that Jay is also very smart. That while he's not the smartest wrestler in the world, he at the very least understood the assignment and make it memorable enough for us to remember, hey, Jey Uso won his first World Heavyweight Championship. And that's good. Now, with Jay beating Gunther for the world title, where do you go? Well, Jay could have a program with any of the members of the Raw roster. Maybe with the return of Sami Zayn, we can see best friends colliding as bitter rivals. Sami Zayn going after the world title, being jealous of Jay, something like that. And Gunther, on the other hand, he could chase after the world title. But I would say that with this and the fact that he got suspended after attacking Michael Cole and Pat McAfee at commentary, maybe do something different with Gunther. Maybe show his desperation, his lack of seeing all the opponents, or at the very least realize that he had to become stronger and maybe more sadistic in his methods. Maybe something happens between him and Ludwig Kaiser. I don't know. Something like that. You can build something from there, and probably something incredible for us to say, hey, Gunther is going in this interesting direction. Something like that. Up next is the New Day versus the War Raiders, and I would say this. I never thought this match was going to make it into a WrestleMania pay-per-view, but that's because, like I said, the build-up for this match was nothing special. I will say this: the New Day turning heel against Big E and throwing him away from the New Day after this 10-year celebration and becoming this bashing heels who yell, thank God for the New Day, and be abrasive brats who deserve everything in the world and the fans deserve nothing. It's entertaining. I will say I found it entertaining. But yeah, it was nothing to write home about. The fight that they had against the War Raiders, who became tag team champions after defeating Finn Balor and JD McDonough, was okay, but honestly, they could have done something more crazy with this match. Or I don't know, put it on Raw, because it barely have any WrestleMania build-up other than the New Day being pissed off and wanting the world titles. So yeah, the match is basically as it is. The War Raiders trying to defeat New Day trying to cheat to win, things like that, and New Day gets the new world tag team champions. So yeah, nothing special. So unfortunately, nothing to write home about. Something that honestly, with a New Day, I wish there was something more, but like I said, the build up for this rivalry wasn't exactly WrestleMania worthy. What was WrestleMania worthy for me at the very least is Jade Cargill versus Naomi, and there was no titles on the line here. There was no championship, no nothing, not even a tag team match. It wasn't like that. It was just a rivalry between two women who hate each other. Now, the story is that Jade Cargill was attacked on November and thrown to a car windshield, which by the time that they did that, Jade and Bianca Belair were the World Women's Tag Team Champions. So they had to replace her with Naomi. Now, Naomi was doing everything with Bianca, nothing special, until we saw Elimination Chamber and we saw that Naomi was attacked by Jade Cargill and explaining why this happened. And that's because Naomi attacked Jade in order to take her out and trying to become tag team champions with Bianca Belair, which after that revelation, it made Naomi heel and it made Jade going after her. So yeah, the build up, it was very simple and obvious in hindsight. It allowed the opportunity for Naomi to do more heelish things and to be something beyond the character of being glowing all the time. And we got new attire, new attitude, new theme song for Naomi. It wasn't the typical glow, all this stuff. It was basically like the police bandanas saying caution, be careful, new theme song. Naomi is showing to be more vicious. And we got the match with Jade Cargill to show off Jade's singles career, hopefully showing to be on a bright future, and hopefully with a great opponents. But yeah, in the end, the match was, like I said, nothing. It wasn't exactly memorable, but at the very least, the right woman won, and hopefully they can do more crazy stuff in other pay-per-views. So once I'm glad that the matches between the women wasn't always for a title, especially in a big pay-per-view. Maybe WWE should consider to do more matches with women that doesn't necessarily have to involve a title or a tag team in particular. Maybe show more stories about bitter rivals or something about honor and respect, something like that. Like show more of these so it becomes more equal to the men. I'm just saying. But now let's talk about Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight for the United States Championship. Now, LA Knight is great on the microphone, is absolutely delightful to see and hear as well. He got his due when he became United States Champion last year at SummerSlam, so it was long overdue in my opinion. But more importantly, Jacob Fatu, who debuted last year as well as the newest member of the Bloodline, got his own WrestleMania match. And let me tell you, Jacob Fatu is rising in the ranks because he became very quickly very beloved by the fans, very beloved by the critics, very beloved by WWE management. He's showing not only to have the prowess of a champion, but also the microphone ability to cut a promo, to be more, more diverse with his promo skills, with his attitude, and to show that he's there to stay. I'm pretty sure that one day he's going to become world champion with the right circumstances. But needless to say, this was his first match at WrestleMania for a title nonetheless. And the two men, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park. And they did have a more memorable moment with Jacob Fatu springboarding or doing a moonsault on the top rope. And with LA Knight countering the attack with his own finisher. Very memorable and very RKO in my opinion. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that moment. And Jacob Fatu got the win. He is now the new United States champion, which I'm actually glad because he can do a lot of good things with the championship. LA Knight could also venture into new things, maybe go to Raw and challenge for the Intercontinental Championship or create a rivalry with someone else. I don't know. But don't I hope they don't lose momentum with LA Knight, and hopefully he can do more stuff. And with Jacob, do everything. Do the build up that he's a great opponent. Hell, make him the longest United States champion to show how much you care and how much important this guy is for you. And more importantly, create a story with Solo Sikoa. Now that Solo doesn't have a championship or a bloodline or isn't even the leader, you can do a lot of stuff with him and create a rivalry between these two men. I don't know. Do go crazy. Go nuts. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, definitely good job for both men. Up next, we got El Grande Americano. Stop it. I'm not going to call him that. I'm going to call him Chad Gable because this is Chad Gable on a U.S. mask facing against Rey Fenix. Now, the thing is, originally it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio who was going to face Chad Gable for the honor of Lucha Libre. But unfortunately, Rey got injured in one of his knees on Friday before WrestleMania, so he was out. So instead, they decided to replace him with Rey Fenix. Now, if you don't know, Rey Fenix as well as Penta come from AEW, All Elite Wrestling. After some circumstances of them leaving the company and coming back to WWE and be put in the main roster, this was a great opportunity to show both men's prowess in the ring. And let me tell you, Rey Fenix did not disappoint here. He really, really got a great opportunity. He was the right guy at the right place. And let me tell you, his match with Chad Gable was pretty memorable. Well, Chad won in the end after cheating with a metal plate that he had in his mask, but at the very least, he was very entertaining, and Rey got his WrestleMania moment, and even though he never won, he still got his moment and got to perform in the grandest stages of them all. I cannot be very happy for him. And speaking of which, this brings us to not a match, but an announcement. You see, WWE, for what I understand, bought the company AAA, which is a wrestling company from New Mexico, or at the very least from Mexico City, and they decided to become partners. Now, this worries a lot of people for the fact that, well, it's WWE, an American company, and AAA is basically wrestling, but from Mexico, Latino wrestling. A lot of people worry that this might fizzle out, that AAA is going to be buried or something like that. Although I should remind you people, Vince McMahon would have buried this company in his first try. I'm holding up hope that with this partnership, along with the TNA one, doesn't become another monopoly absorbed by WWE. Because I think we can all agree that we live in a better world when all the wrestling companies are all in here, but don't necessarily have to buy each other. This is not territorial ways. This is not the territories. This is in modern times. Just take advantage of the wrestling that you have in every place and enjoy every type of wrestling. Don't need to buy anything. But yeah, it's just something to mention now that I talk about Chad Gable and Rey Fenix. But now let's move on to the next match, which is the WWE's Women's Championship between Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Now, Charlotte Flair is not everyone's favorite wrestler. In fact, people hate her. But they specifically hate who she is, the daughter of Ric Flair, and the fact that she has won multiple world championships, and all because she's related to Ric Flair, which many people have voiced their opinions very loudly, saying she doesn't deserve it, this is nepotism, something like that. I've heard good Mike Ward saying all these things, criticizing the fans for basically not liking Charlotte because she's related to Ric Flair, and that he trying to tell people, please chill out. This is not the same situation. If you cannot get over that, please do so. Well, he didn't say it like that, but I'm avoid to repeat any curse words. He can do it, but I can't. But yeah, but one of the main concerns of people, especially fans, was that Tiffany was getting buried by Charlotte Flair after the match. That Charlotte somehow will find her way to become champion, and trying closer and closer to tie the record of her father, Ric Flair. And what do we got? We got Tiffany Stratton. Now, Tiffany, when I first saw her, I thought she was just a Mandy Rose copycat. That she was there because Mandy Rose left, and then she became NXT Women's Champion, and that was it. But truth be told, she has been entertaining as a champion. She started obviously as a Barbie girl and basically, the annoying brat who is basically all full of herself. But in time, we start to enjoy her acting, her comedic timing, her wrestling performance. She won the Money in the Bank briefcase. She made her alliance with Nia Jax, who, let's face it, between her and Tiffany, Tiffany wins the popularity contest by a mile, basically. And at the end, when Tiffany cashed in her Money in the Bank and defeated Nia Jax for the Women's Championship, and this year, at the beginning of the year, I'd said to myself, holy crap, she actually could be the next Trish Stratus. Now, remember, Trish Stratus was a model, or basically a woman who was designed to be a Barbie girl and turned out to be a workhorse and a veteran in the women's division. And let me tell you, the fact that both Trish and Tiffany team up against Nia and Candice LeRae at the Elimination Chamber was showing that yes, this company is ready to make Tiffany the new big star, and hopefully she does. And as far as the match was, it was actually pretty good. I have to admit, Charlotte did bring her A game. And Tiffany, she got her teeth dented, and she still continued with the match. That is very, very, very brave of her. And she won, and Tiffany won in the end, so that's good. That's actually great. The woman obviously had a great match. The build-up was controversial because of the promos and because it was feeling like almost off script. And while Charlotte's life personally is not going great, she got from a divorce. At the very least, she put her best effort here, and Tiffany showed why she was there to stay. And I hope Tiffany continues the momentum because honestly, she really deserves it. And she's entertaining, she's charismatic. And not only is she beautiful, she's very, very talented. She really is. And as far as Charlotte is concerned, I feel like she needs to change her attitude or her character to be more something that doesn't remind us all the time that she's the daughter of Ric Flair. Something like that. Try to do something dark, something, I don't know, very dark and, I don't know, more ruthless, to say the least. Some shows a side of Charlotte that we haven't seen before. Next, we got the final match, which is the main event between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. Now, the story is, if you haven't followed for the last few years, is this. CM Punk is basically having a lot of heat with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins thinks that CM Punk is a cancer to the locker room. Roman Reigns, after living a historic reign of the Universal Champion, and now has to be in the mix after helping CM Punk at the Survivor Series. CM Punk trying his best to move on from Seth, but now he's caught up in this mix. It's basically what we could have got with the triple threat match between Seth, Roman, and Jon Moxley, or aka Dean Ambrose, in case you don't know who that is. But yeah, basically, it was a match that it was all personal. And it got more and more dramatic with Paul Heyman in the mix. Because remember, not only is he the special counselor or the manager of Roman Reigns, but also the best friend from CM Punk. He's CM Punk's best friend. And now he's caught up in the middle of this after the favor that CM Punk owed, that he should be in his corner at WrestleMania. So, also to mention, CM Punk wanted for so long to be in the main event. And I'll be honest, what I don't think this is the main event that he probably wanted. This is probably the one that says, yeah, this is the one that I feel that I'm owed. And honestly, he's wrestling against two superstars. So I would say that that's a big win, in my opinion at least. And at the very least, it's the last match of the night. So hopefully CM Punk could get also another main event, but in a singles match. But overall, this match actually stole the show for this night. It was a very fast pace. It was dramatic. It was brutal. Both every man trying to one up each other. Seth and Punk fighting outside the ring. Roman trying his best to put them all out, showing his distrust to Seth Rollins and trying his best to put aside the revenge and trying to beat Seth for everything that he has done to him. Things like that. And it all culminated in probably my favorite ending of WrestleMania, when Paul Heyman betrayed not only CM Punk but also Roman Reigns and side his sides, or basically be in the side of Seth Rollins, who by this point he was a heel from what I understand. But honestly, with the chantings and us singing "whoa" or something like that, it shows that we still like Seth despite being a heel. Which honestly, I almost didn't believe that until, well, the match itself. I don't know. I just like Seth the way it is. And while he's an abrasive brat, he really is really good. And he got the victory in the end. So, yeah, that's kudos for Seth for winning. But kudos for all three men for the performance. And for Paul Heyman to put the acting of a lifetime, in my opinion. But now the question remains, after this, what happens then? Well, in my opinion, I think both they should continue this story. And we saw that on Raw because Seth Rollins is now forming a faction not only with Paul Heyman, but also with Braun Breaker. In the end of the video, I'm going to explain what happens to Braun Breaker. But yeah, basically, this is a new alliance, and a lot of people say that this is going to be the next evolution, the next Team Call evolution, or closer to that extent, you know. But yeah, that's pretty cool to see, and we're going to see CM Punk and Roman Reigns putting the differences aside in order to stop Seth, Paul, and Braun Breaker from destroying them. So hopefully it's going to be good. Well, the night one of WrestleMania had its moments. It had some of its troubles. But overall, it was an entertaining show. And at the very least, it got us hooked for the next night that was WrestleMania. So I'm going to talk about WrestleMania 2 in a moment in the next video. So click on that video to see it. So I've been Enrique, and I'll see you there. Take care.